Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the Kings of the South podcast and NFC South podcast. I am your host, Cory Vereen. My better half, TJ, is a little bit under the weather now, so I'm riding dolo tonight. Uh, I will say we're recording this on Monday, so happy Memorial Day. I'd like to thank everyone, family, friends of their loved ones who passed away, giving their lives so that I can do something silly like record a podcast. Thank you for giving us the freedom and protecting our freedom and our liberty and our way of life. You gave the ultimate sacrifice, and I cannot express my gratitude. So thank you. Yeah, let's get into it. As I previously stated, I'm riding dolo tonight. So I figured this would be a quick little episode. I feel like we can touch on uh, a little seasonal review, just a recap of the preseason and uh, the outlook for this year. And we're going to start with the reigning, defending kings of the South, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. Uh, so unless you've been living under a rock and you don't watch football, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the class of the NFC South, which isn't saying much, given how awful the division was last year. They managed to win the division with a measly 8 wins. They went 8-9. They swept Atlanta. I believe they split with the other two teams. Um, I don't know how you can win a division with 8 games, but they found a way. So uh, after the season was over with, they went, like I said, they went 8-9, won the South, lost in the wild card round to the Dallas Cowboys, 31-14. To say that Tampa Bay was in a state of flux and kind of still is a bit of an understatement. Uh, the greatest quarterback of all time left the team. He retired. Tom Brady, of course. You know, this man. Uh, I had to give a little shout at Tom Brady. He won enough, man. He won enough. He got thick skin. He can handle this. Um, yeah, Tom Brady retired, um, which leaves a big void at the quarterback position. Um, we'll get into possible replacements. Tom Brady retires. They fire offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. Uh, might have been a lame duck firing. I don't feel like all of that is on him. But then again, I'm not getting paid the big bucks. So I mean, somebody gotta hold the mail, man. So the offense didn't perform as well as they did under Bruce Arians. There was a notable drop off all around. Now I will say injuries played a big part of that, both on offense and defense. But we're not gonna get into that. So uh Tabo still main head coach, despite some fans best efforts, started petitions and whatnot, and wanting to see him go, wanting to see them start fresh under a young offensive mind who can mold the offense to one of these high powered offenses that is becoming a bit of a trend in the NFL these days. Um, that didn't happen, so Tabo's still in charge. He did bring in Dave Canales. Uh, he is the offensive coordinator. He came over from Seattle after spending 13 years on Pete Carroll's staff. And it's a little too early for me to give an opinion on that. He's younger. Uh, anyone who comes from under, Pete Carroll, uh, has the philosophy of we're going to run the ball, we're going to go play action, we're going to put our players in position of strengths, we're going to get our players out in space, and that's what I expect. I expect Rashad White to have a good year this year, barring injury, of course. So yeah, so let's get into some of the notable uh additions to this roster. Uh, let's see. First foremost, Chase Edmonds. They brought him in after that weird, uh, half of the year with Miami, half of the year with Denver. It's so weird. They brought in Matt. I don't know how to pronounce your name, buddy, but I'm going to give it the old college try. Matt Filer, Feeler from the LA Chargers. Offensive lineman, solid depth. I believe he has some starting experience on the offensive line. Hopefully, it don't come down to that. But then again, there will be jobs up for grabs this year on the offensive line. Um, so yeah. Also, they brought in Greg Gaines from the Los Angeles Rams, which coincidentally I did not know until I started doing my prep work for the show. He is the former college teammate of one Vita Vea, University of Washington. Who knew? I didn't know. Sorry, guys. I had no clue. But I think that's an interesting, cool little tidbit. They also brought in the 2023 comeback player of the year, Baker. I'm feeling dangerous Mayfield, um, who we'll get into it. I project that he's going to be the starter, but we'll talk about that more later in the show. They also signed Chase McLaughlin, kicker from the Indianapolis Colts. They brought in wide receiver David Moore from Seattle. They also brought in who I would say probably their biggest sneaky uh, best signing this offseason, safety Ryan Neal from Seattle. If you don't know who Ryan Neal is, when Jamal Adams went down last year in Seattle, Ryan Neal stepped up and uh he had a career year. He was all over the field. He was a difference maker on that defense. He brought attitude, he brought fire, and the team responded and they rallied around that. Uh, so much so, Ryan Neal had such a good year that he earned 14 All Pro votes. 14, folks. It's not like one, like a sneaky, like, oh, hey, let's vote for the Rent's Too Damn High guy. Like, right in Kanye West on the ballot. No, one vote. No, this is 14 votes. That's something. That's something. They also brought in John Warford, man, from the Rams. Uh, I don't have much about that. He got a job. Shout out to him. Um, they also managed to re-sign Levante David on a 1 year deal. They managed to retain Jamal Dean, D. Delaney, Cam Gill, Nick Leverett, Anthony Nelson, Patrick O'Connor, Falcons legend Deidre Sanat, and Eric Stinney, offensive lineman. Now, of course, the notable names there are Jamel Dean and Levante David. They play a big part of that defense. Jamel Dean is, I think he's their only returning cornerback because they lost Sean Murphy Bunning. Who's the other corner? I can't remember. I think he's good too. Brain fart, folks. Let's focus on task at hand. Levante Davis, the captain of that defense. Some will argue he's the best linebacker. I am some. He is the best linebacker. No shade to Devin White, but he did not play up to his first round billing. He did not play up to his potential. He did not play up to what he has shown thus far. I don't know if was playing injured. He was playing in a different scheme. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. They was asking him to shoulder more responsibility, but for whatever reason, he did not play as well as we know he is able to play at. But yeah, also for the first time in 4 years, the Tampa Bay Bucks managed to not place the franchise tag on anyone, which is surprising. This is a franchise that in the past 3 years placed a franchise tag on Shaq Barrett. In the last 2 years, they placed it on Chris Godwin. Now they managed to get them locked up with long-term deals, but this is a team that is not afraid to slap that franchise tag on somebody. So the fact that they were able to retain their players and do so without putting a tag on somebody and allocating a big hefty portion of money in a guarantee contract. Because if you don't know, if you slap the franchise tag on someone, that franchise tag is fully guaranteed. So they managed to keep from doing that. So kudos to Ryan Licht. I don't know how to Light. He got a Super Bowl. I'm gonna just call you Ryan. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I think it's Light. I think it's Light. Shout out to him for being able to keep his players at a affordable rate. Which brings us to some of the players that he were not able to retain. This is players lost via being released, being traded, uh, losing them in free agency, or retired. And at the top of the list, as I previously stated, one Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. When I don't want to. I know he didn't play up to his potential last year, but he wasn't a scrub last year, folks. Okay, I know you want to say, "Oh, Tom Brady, he wasn't that good." Anytime you lose the greatest quarterback of all time, regardless of age, I don't care if he's 45, 46, 47, 48. Don't care. He's still Tom Brady. He still was in the top 10 in quarterback passing yards last year and attempts and completions, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Whenever you lose that and you go from that to Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield, it's going to be an issue. So that's a huge loss. They also cut tight end Cameron Braid, who I didn't know he is number 2 on their all-time receiving list for tight end. I did not know this. Now, if you want to say, "Hey, I don't remember Cameron Braid producing that much," you'd probably be right. Tampa Bay do not have a rich tight end history. I know they thought they were going to get that when they drafted OJ Howard a couple years back. That didn't pan out. Hopefully, the guy we talk about in a second he can be the change to that. But they also lost safety Mike Edwards, who I think that's a big loss. They lost Mike Edwards. He signed with the Chiefs. They cut playoff Lenny, man. Leonard Fournette. They cut him. It's a shame. I thought he fit well with that offense. I thought he is more versatile than what they asked of him. They were primarily using him last year as, run the gut, third down, let's throw a screen pass. I'm like, you can put Lenny out wide in the slot. He's not an effective slot, but he can play. He's serviceable. He can catch passes out the backfield. He showed that during their Super Bowl run a couple years back. I still think he has a lot left in the tank. And by a lot, I mean maybe 2-3 years of peak Lenny, and he'll fall off a cliff and he'll be in the Latavius Murray category, which is still a serviceable NFL running back. Um, uh, the fact that he's not signed right now is kind of it's a bit jarring to me, but I'm sure he's probably picking his spot because a lot of these veterans, they don't want to go to training camp and do all that hard work and go through that wear and tear on the body and be wore down and injured prior to the season start. So you probably see Leonard Fournette signing with a team. He could resign also, but signing with a team and towards the start of the season. They also lost former Jacksonville Jaguar fan favorite Blaine Gabbert. uh, they traded Shaq Mason to Houston. They lost Scotty Miller, wide receiver, to my Atlanta Falcons. Thanks for that. They lost cornerback Sean Murphy Bunting, as we previously stated. He went to Tennessee. They lost Keanu Neal, Falcons legend, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Raheem Nunez Roaches, he signed with the New York Giants. Donovan Smith, who they cut, and he managed to get another job in Kansas City, possibly started, which is mind-boggling. He led the league in holding. I don't know if you guys are familiar with his game. Uh, I hope you are because you're, subscribed to the Kings of the South podcast. It means you're a fan of one of the teams in the South. And if it's not your team, you should probably know your enemies, right? That's the way I look at it. Um, but yeah, he signed with Kansas City. Good luck, Patrick. They also cut franchise legend Ryan Suckup, who in the 2020 on the Super Bowl run, he was perfect from both uh, the field goal range and also extra points. I don't kind of get that, but I guess, they don't pay me the big bucks. I'm not a general manager. I'm not a player personnel scout, so I don't know. I'm just a guy with a podcast. And they also managed to lose Josh Wells to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's quite a notable list of players lost, but every year there comes a opportunity to restock the covers, and that's something Ryan Light has mentioned. He said we're not rebuilding, we're not retooling, we just restocking. Um, and that restock comes in the form of the 2023 NFL Draft. And I know a lot of people are down on the Bucks draft. They didn't have the best draft, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. Um, they're restocking their players at areas and needs. Mainly attacking that pass rush, man, because it was when Shaq Barrett went down, it was non-existent. So, first round, pick 19, they took defensive lineman Kalijah Cansey out of Pittsburgh. 6'1", 285, pass rush specialist. Do not ask him to stop the run, although he's capable of doing it, but just don't ask him to make a living doing that. He's probably has the quickest get off of any defensive tackle in the draft, including, well, I'm not going to mention his name. I've done enough the past couple podcasts. Jalen Carter. Second round, they picked pick 48. They took Cody Mock, offensive lineman out of North Dakota State. He is going to be a guard. I don't want to hear anything about tackle. He's going to be a guard. Uh, Third round, someone who can see some playing time significantly because the lack of development to Joe Tryon uh, Finoka. I think that's his name. Lack of production and lack of development with him, who I believe they picked in the what was he, a second round? No, he was a first round pick. Damn. Yeah. uh, Yaya Diaby, outside linebacker from Louisville. He got juice. He should provide immediate juice on the edge of this Asian defense. They also took Kalijah Kansas' teammate in round 5, pick 153, inside linebackers, Servichia Dennis, Pittsburgh. I hope I pronounced that right. Y'all got some names on y'all. I sound like Webby. Shala Mine. uh, yeah, Dennis out of Pittsburgh, speedy linebacker, not afraid to fill the gap, stopping the run. He should see some playing time immediately. I know Ty Bowles really excited about landing him, so they expect big things from him. Could be a possible Levante David replacement. Also, could be a Devin White replacement. I don't know. We don't know what Devin White is on these days. We don't know. He was asking for a trade, asking for a new contract in the range of what Tremaine Edmonds was making, which I kind of laugh because he's not getting that. But if who knows? I say that, but who knows? He can have a big year, and warrant that type of contract from somebody. Uh, you know, Oakland always need. Oh, I'm sorry, not Oakland. Las Vegas always need linebackers. So who knows? Uh, in the with their second, fifth round pick, they took tight end Payne Durham, out of Purdue, big inline blocker, blocking tight end, who I think has a little extra in his bag. I think he has every opportunity to get on the field early in his career. They have tight end Kate Otten, but as my co-host TJ said, he didn't really show much. So the opportunities are there. He just have to capitalize on it. Round six, pick 181. They took Josh Haynes, defensive back from Kansas State. Don't know too much about him, so I'm gonna keep going. Round six, pick 191. They took Trey Palmer, wide receiver, Nebraska. If you don't know who Trey Palmer is, just watch. He has the opportunity. Well, I won't say that. I don't know. On any other team as a 6th round pick, he would have an opportunity to get on the field. But because he went to probably the deepest wide receiver room in the NFL with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, they got my boy, former Falcons legend Russell Gage. I don't know how, unless they run 4 receiver sets, but I don't think that's sustainable in the NFL these days, especially not with what they're going to try out at quarterback, which we'll get into that later. Um, wide receiver 4.3 speed. I'm very excited to see what he can do in the NFL. And with their last pick, round six, pick 196, they took outside linebacker Jose Ramirez from Eastern Michigan, who also Todd Bowles was excited about getting too. So maybe he knows something I don't with these players. Maybe they fit his scheme. Uh, a lot of players that got tools in their toolbox, and we'll see. We'll see. Some of the notable things I want to talk about with the Bucks. The things that can hold them back. We're going to start with quarterback first, right away. I know a lot of people are saying that this is going to be a quarterback battle in camp. And truthfully, it could be. But in my gut, in my heart of heart, in my gut, if I was to call it, this is not a battle. This is Baker Mayfield's job. I know you didn't get him for much in free agency, but he was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. You cannot tell me that Cal Trask, who couldn't even beat out Blaine Gabbert last year as the backup, is going to beat out Baker Mayfield. They thought so little of Cal Trask in the last game of the season against my Atlanta Falcons with nothing to play for because they already wrapped up the division. They trotted out Blaine Gabbert and after pulling Tom Brady after I think they pulled him in the first or second quarter. And they played Blaine Gabbert for the majority of the game. And they only put Cal Trask in for I think 5 minutes left in the game. If they had more faith in him, they would have played him. You would think they would want to see more out of him because he was a 2nd-round pick. You don't want to waste those. If they thought that much of Cal Trask from what they seen in practice, if they saw enough in practice, they saw enough in the quarterback's room and the meetings and film study. If they saw enough, they would have put him out there. But they weren't comfortable, and they went with Blaine Gabbert. I don't think Cal Trask is beating out Baker Mayfield. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't see it. Now, with Baker being a starter, things could go really high, like that Cleveland Browns playoff run where Baker was at his best, or can go low, low, low. And I'm talking Carolina Baker Mayfield. where they cut him after after I what like 5, 6 games they cut him and they went with Sam Darnold and then they went to PJ Walker and they stayed with PJ Walker for the remainder of the season. Um, I'm hopeful that Baker can turn it around. I'm not willing to bet money on it. I know I say it tongue in cheek, joking around that Baker Mayfield's going to win Comeback Player of the Year, which he has the talent to do so, but I'm not willing to put money on it. Uh, yeah. Uh, Offensive line. That's another area of concern to me. They announced that they're moving All Pro right tackle Tristan Wirfs to the left side to play left tackle. I think he's talented enough to do it, but I don't like the replacement of him on the right side. Um, I believe is was it Luke Goddard? I don't like that. I don't like their depth on the interior offensive line. I don't like it. Uh, I don't like that they didn't attack it as I feel they should have in free agency and in the draft. Cody Mock should shore up one of the spots. Also, they got Ryan Jensen. So it's looking like the left side of the offensive line is going to be their strength, and the right side is going to be held together by duct tape and glue. Um, but if they can get some solid production out of that, I feel like the Bucks could surprise some people, not a lot of people. Um, Now let's get into some of their strengths. We have to start with uh, their wide receiver room. Like I said, it's probably one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL. With the 3 starters I named uh, ahead of time or earlier. I like what Trey Palmer can bring to this group. Um, they brought in a veteran, David Moore, who a lot of people don't know. He's not a household name, but he was a serviceable player, role player in Seattle. He had a couple of big time catches. Uh, Russell Wilson raved about him. Um, so who knows? Maybe he can have a career rejuvenation with a change of scenery there in Tampa Bay. Also, another strength of theirs is their interior defensive line. How could it not be? You got Vita Vea, you got Greg Gaines, and you got Kalijah Kancey. What more could you want in off a defensive line? It don't get much better than that, folks. I mean, those two, the last two I just named, they're not like stars yet, but they're better than average role players, especially Greg Gaines. There were times where they were doubling Aaron Donald last year, and Greg Gaines was the one to make plays. Now, no way am I comparing Vita Vea to arguably the greatest defensive tackle of all time, but Vita Vea ain't no scrub. He's an all pro. He's a pro bowler. He's good. And I feel like he's gonna make Greg Gaines' life and Kalijah Kancey's life and Yaya Diaby. All anyone who's rushing the passer, Vita Vea and Greg Gaines are gonna make their lives easier. Um Secondary, um, I think retaining Jamel Dean was huge. The big key. Keeping him around, uh, providing some what's the word I'm looking for? Continuity in that secondary. Um, I think is a big deal. Bringing in Ryan Neal, he has the opportunity to be a star in this defense. Uh, Pairing him with Winfield, it could be low key one of the best safety tandems in the league. If they stay healthy and if they perform the way I know that they can perform, I feel like it could be a top 10 safety tandem in the league. Um, so let's get into uh, some predictions. Best case scenario, if everything breaks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everything goes their way. Baker plays lights out. This is a team that can win anywhere in the ballpark of 8 to 10 wins. That's best case scenario. And I'm not willing to go higher. I know some Bucks fans are probably upset about it, but I'm not so sure with Baker yet. I can't. There's not enough around him to make me go, yes, they can win in spite of Baker. Now, if he is on his game and he can do things from things he showed us from that playoff run and Cleveland, if he can do that, yeah, this could be a team that could flirt with a wild card spot, especially if the defense stays healthy. And if they run the offense the way Pete Carroll has ran the offense or tried to run the offense in Seattle, you know, before the let Russ cook thing. I think Rashad White in this offense can put up big numbers in both the on the ground and in the air. I feel like he's a very capable receiver out of the backfield. I know he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to show it yet, but he's gonna be good. Trust me. Now, worst case scenario, if nothing goes right, Baker stinks, Kyle Trask stinks, injuries all over the defensive line, offensive line is playing like hot garbage. This is a team that could be in the Caleb Williams Drake May sweepstakes. And depending on what side of the fence you're on, whether you want that to happen or not, that's up to you. But this is a team who, while they made some significant signings and draft picks in this offseason, it's not enough to say that there's no way they're going to be picking in the top five because it's very possible. Um, some would argue the best case scenario is this happening so they can get on a rookie contract and just build the team around that rookie quarterback, a la Cincinnati, a la Buffalo, a la Kansas City, a la the Chargers, a la Philadelphia Eagles. Um, getting that rookie contract, especially at the quarterback position, is probably the most valuable asset a team could have. So I don't want to say that they're going to tank. I don't believe any NFL team will tank. But maybe they won't be good enough to get a lot of wins, and that's okay. That's all right. I would say so. That's best case scenario, worst case scenario. I think realistically, this is a team that could win. If I'm gonna put a bet on it, this is a team that can win anywhere between 5 to 8 games. That's the baseline. I don't I don't see them winning 8 games. I don't see them winning 9 games. But I also don't see them sucking bad enough to to get Drake May or Caleb Williams. I feel like that's gonna be God, I don't want to say Arizona either, but who knows at this point. Um yeah, I don't think they're gonna be bad enough to get one of those players. So there's that. I don't see it. But then again, like I said previously, this is the draft that has I counted at least 7 first round quarterbacks. So Maybe they don't need to be in the top three, top four to get a franchise quarterback. Michael Penix should still be there. KJ Jefferson. Let me stop. I'm getting ahead of myself, folks. I'm very excited about college football. I think that was apparent just now. We're not going to get into that. I think we're going to. This might be a good spot to put a pin in it, wrap it up. I know some of you were looking forward to, the pour one out and the down bad award. We're not going to do that right now. I will feel incomplete. I will feel wrong if I did that without my brother on the other end to give his thoughts. So we're gonna save those for when TJ is healthy enough because he like I said, he's a little under the weather now. I should give him the down bad award, but uh yeah, we're waiting for him to get better. We send him well wishes. So I'd like to thank y'all for rocking with me, staying with me. That was my Tampa Bay 2023 season outlook. Um, yeah, best case scenario, 9 to 10 wins. Worst case scenario, picking in the top five. Baseline, 5 to 8 wins, folks. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong. If you got thoughts, hit me up on Twitter, Kings of the South Pod. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit us up on we have a TikTok now, folks. We're growing, we're expanding. We want you to be along with us. Speaking of expanding, speaking of something cool happened about a week or two ago. Our podcast was shown on an episode of Chris Sam's Unbuttoned. Uh, it happened. If you don't know, Chris Sam's Unbuttoned is a very popular football podcast hosted by Chris Sims, seen on Peacock, YouTube, wherever you want to get your podcast from. And every Monday and every Wednesday, they have like a little mailbag situation that happens on Twitter. If you got a question about the previous episode, you add them on Twitter, you type a question up, and if they'll select your question, you'll be shown the question and your tag will be shown on the show. So I wrote a question about Desmond Ritter, and they selected it. And our podcast, our little old podcast, folks, was seen on Peacock and YouTube, under the big lights. And I know some people may think it's not a big deal, but it was a big deal to me, big deal to TJ. We appreciate everyone involved with the Chris Sims podcast. Um, that's major to us, man. Anytime we can get any type of exposure to grow the brand and stuff like that, it's a big deal to us. So we thank y'all, and we want y'all to, take the ride with us, man. We're moving in the right direction, folks, and we want y'all to be along for the ride. We thank y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate all your support. Keep liking us on Twitter. Keep liking us on Instagram. Keep liking us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Google, all that. Keep liking, subscribing, folks, and hit us up in the comments. You got any questions? To hit us up, man. Hit us up in the email too, man. I'm put the email down here. So wait, down there. I'm gonna put the email down there. So yeah, just hit us up, man. Any questions, anything you want to talk about, anything you want us to talk about on the show, just let us know. We'll love to do that. We'd love to be engaged and just talk to y'all, hear from y'all, hear y'all thoughts, man. We appreciate y'all. As always, I'm your boy Cory, signing out, Kings of the Podcast. Peace.